H.G. Wells' novel was adapted to a motion picture with a screenplay by Barry Lyndon and won an Oscar for its use of special effects and was considered one of the best special effects films of the 1950s. In the 1950s there were no computers with the capabilities to create CGI, so the team that created the 1953 version of The War of the Worlds done so by creating everything with real consequences.
You want to know what I was thinking? If we could gather all the energy expended in just one square dance, we could send that meteor back to where it came from.
Well, our very first shot in the movie was a location shot. And we went to Phoenix, Arizona, because the National Guard was on bivouac, I believe is what you call it. And we needed tanks. And we needed action. And so we were flown there. It was raining, it was muddy, it was cold, it was miserable. And when those tanks ran, they didn't stop and start for us. Gene Barry and I had to run around and dodge all those things.
During the golden age of Hollywood, Al Nozaki set about designing alien spacecraft based on the descriptions from the novel written by H.G. Wells of a three-legged tripod flying machine. He shaped the tripod head to look like a manta ray with the tail of a scorpion to bring two strange and dangerous things of that time to create fear in its design. They were made out of copper with a wingspan of over a meter long. Inside these copper crafts were cables and mechanisms to operate them. The tips of the wings would light up green and the head would glow red. To fire bolts from the head back in the day, they filmed shots twice, one of the movement of the ship and one of someone firing sparks from a welding torch being blown by a fan. A stagehand would be dressed in black and him and the craft would follow the same path so they could be superimposed onto each other, making the image look like one. These are what we could now say is the extremes they went to in the 1953 version of The War of the Worlds to create a special effect. They built everything by hand out of available materials like copper, wood, plastic and chicken wire, and then physically operate these effects themselves. The creation of the aliens designed by Al Nozaki in the 1953 version of The War of the Worlds was created by Charlie Gamora. He, with some help from his daughter Diana Gamora, made these aliens out of wood, chicken wire and plaster bandages. These techniques to create special effects were amazing in their time and should be appreciated for them, but with today's technology it is much simpler and safer to create gripping special effects, all thanks to the creation of CGI. CGI was created in the 70s, but when used in the 2005 version of The War of the Worlds to create the alien craft along with some help of concept art, 3D modeling and green screens, these skills are used to produce both stunning and terrifying results.
8:30?
You said 8 o'clock.
Hello, Dad.
Get a hug?
Robbie's got a paper which he's yet to begin.
I just gotta type it up.
You just gotta start writing it first. Take care of our kids.
You got nothing to worry about. That is so weird. The wind is blowing toward the storm. It's okay. Lightning doesn't strike twice.
Where's the thunder?
Robbie, you saw the lightning?
Yeah, 26 times on Lincoln Avenue.
Hear that?
Using current technology, concept artists and designers from ILM Creature Design could develop the idea from Steven Spielberg's vision of his alien craft. The creatures are similar in some ways in both of the films. They are both tripods and fire projectiles, but the method in which they move and attack shows a level of freedom in the 2005 version that just couldn't be achieved by the 1953 version. Basically all because of advancements made by the film industry. Using green screens and computers, the 2005 version's makers were able to superimpose special effects in such a more advanced way. using green screen, movie makers can superimpose entire cities and streets and animate the craft and creatures' movements, making them more fluid and lifelike, whereas the 1953's versions, craft and creatures' movements seemed more rigid. It asks the questions, couldn't they just green screen the entire film? And yes, it can be done, but CGI can become very noticeable when overly or poorly used. Both of these adaptations of H.G. Wells's War of the Worlds are of their time and excellent achievements in film, but are, as everything, subject to the technologies of their time. It's certain that CGI and motion graphics have taken film further than ever before.